Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. It's funny, after months of nothing in sports, the action won't stop around here. We may not get to talk much baseball tonight with Andy Baskin, so I want to mention a few things before. If you are involved with MLB and a TV network, the two worst people you want to push your game are Pete Rose and A-Rod, who did the color for the Indians game last night in Chicago. So Delano DeShields lays down a bunt, a safety squeeze, and A-Rod goes crazy. "I love small ball," he cries. That's right, the guy who gets suspended for roiding so he can't make the Hall of Fame decides that he loves small ball. Sorry, I'm not buying it. Maybe Andy Baskin will. More sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night, it's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine, which busy night coming up. We'll talk a whole lot of sports tonight, and we, of course, are powered by cleveland.com. Doctor, we'll start at the end. How about that? That's something new. Andy Baskin from 92.3 The Fan will join us. Mike Masetta will join us from Nature's Dome. But first, we'll bring in Dr. Jon Steinbrecher, who is the head of the Mid-American Conference. Dr. Jon, great to see you as always. I did tell you it's better at the MAC basketball tournament, but we need you for real answers here tonight.
Les, it's always good to be with you.
All right, let's talk. Number one, how did you get into this position of where you are the spokesperson, among other things, for the cancellation, the potential cancellation? I'm saying minutes here of college football. How did you get there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's just been a conversation over weeks of can we proceed into the fall, and we've continued to watch and monitor. Speak with our medical advisors, speak with an array of state and local health officials, governmental entities that are involved in this, and then across our governance groups and student athletes and all of this. And as we came into last week, we were coming up against some deadlines in which we were thinking about, we were coming to a point where teams were going to be coming in for their fall camps and preparing for the start of competition that would have begun essentially end of August or Labor Day weekend.
Right.
And so it seemed prudent to start making some decisions. Can we go forward? And we went round and round and examined a host of things, but it ultimately came down to conversations we continued to have with our medical advisory group. And they simply said, we do not see a path forward for you to have competition and do it safely.
Okay, so let's make this as simple as possible. I'm going to ask a simple question. I know it's not a simple answer. Are we talking about the difference basically between the student athletes and health, or the colleges and money?
Well, in our case, it was about the student athletes and health. I think it would be naive to suggest that those involved in this enterprise aren't paying attention to what decisions mean in terms of the financial ramifications. And in our case, we don't know what all of that will play out to be. It'll depend on, are we joined by other teams and conferences? Do we play some events in the spring? How a host of things play out. However, and I continue to emphasize this wasn't a dollars and cents decision. This was a health and wellness decision. We made this decision based on the fact that we did not feel comfortable putting our student athletes in a decision in which there were a host of unknowns. Participation. Go ahead, Les.
No, I was just going to say, and it goes further. If you're dealing with a college and college students, if you're going to have football, you got to have students around, and that may not be a good thing at this point.
Well, all of our campuses are making really valiant attempts to get their campuses open, and we're hopeful that occurs. And what we do in a classroom is much different than what we do on an athletic field.
Right.
There is no way you can social distance in your athletic activities. You can do that through your educational activities. And so we need to differentiate among that. But getting back to health and welfare issues, for participants in sports, you go into those and you have a really good idea of what the known risks are. If I'm a football player or a volleyball player, I know I might injure an ankle or a knee or a shoulder, whatever that may be. Those are fairly well understood. With the COVID-19 virus right now, we don't understand all the ramifications about it.
Right.
This is not simply the flu. And one of the issues that's coming up front and center is the issue of myocarditis. Inflammation of the heart damages the heart. And we don't know if that's simply a short-term issue, which in and of itself is not positive in any sense of the word, but is it potentially a long-term issue? Is this something that could stay with someone for the rest of their lives? We're not trying to be inflammatory or scare people, but we want to make sure we understand what's at play here. And our doctors have been on that for some time now, and you're starting to see that bubble up through the media. And so in our case, we decided there were simply too many unknowns. Let's back away for right now.
All right. How about spring football? Is that possible? Is it still on the table?
That's a good question. In our case, we talked about we are postponing. We didn't cancel our sports, and we talked about that it would be our intention to provide competitive opportunities for our student athletes in the spring. I am putting together working groups in all of our fall sports that will include administrators, coaches, student athletes, faculty, medical advisors, and I'm charging them with laying out essentially a year calendar and examining how can we do a season in the spring, how can we do a season in the fall, and what are all the factors that have to go into that. And I would remind people, you say, well, you can't do that. Right now, our fall sports all have spring practice seasons, which are intensive practice activities. And in a number of the sports, they have competitive opportunities in the spring. So they're doing a lot of that right now. So it's transitioning and thinking about, okay, how do we make this work? Now, does that mean we're playing a 12-game football schedule in the spring? I don't know. It's probably not likely, but I'm not going to prejudge this. We're going to work the issue, see what the possibilities are, and then develop our plans. The virus is going to tell us whether we can go or not. Hopefully, we'll knock this thing down as we're entering a new year. We'll continue to see increased and improved treatment modalities. Testing will become more readily available, more affordable. We'll be able to do more of it at point of care and get immediate results. All those things will play a role. And then we'll also engage our student athletes in a pretty in-depth conversation about, okay, this is what it looks like we can do. Will you find that satisfactory in terms of the competitive activities that are available? Or would you prefer to wait until next fall? For instance, we don't know if there will be fall NCAA championships in a number of sports. And if those are postponed or canceled, do they get rolled into the spring? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. If there's not a spring NCAA championship in a sport, will our student athletes want to proceed? That'll be one of the factors, among others. And so there's a lot of things to talk about. I've been since March, as we've been dealing with this virus, I'm spending a lot of time saying, I don't know, because we don't know. But what I can do is put in place processes where we can build a plan, and then if circumstances permit, we will implement that plan.
Dr. Jon Steinbrecher is here. He is the commissioner of the Mid-American Conference and in charge of all the top football conferences at this point. Dr. Jon, you're the first to come out publicly about canceling fall sports. There are some others who haven't made that decision yet, or haven't announced it. What advice would you give to some of these commissioners of other conferences who haven't gone with their plan yet?
Well, I tend to believe there will be one or more other conferences joining us. We'll see what happens. They've all got medical advisory groups around them, lots of people weighing in. And what I hope they're able to do is what we were able to do. And that was make a decision based on the science of it and not the politics involved. And I think if we're able to do that, I think we'll come up with really good decisions that are in the best interest of the student athletes and the coaches and all around the enterprise of intercollegiate athletics.
Well, you got tough decisions, and you're right there, and you're going to make the best decisions. I'm sure you've always done it in the past, and I would expect nothing less than that.
Les, this was a crushing decision. I mean, I was incredibly emotional about it as I talked with our presidents. I was emotional about it during my press conference on Saturday. You know, I grew up my father was a football student athlete. He was a coach. He was a professor. He was an athletics director. I had the great privilege to play college sports, football and tennis in college. And this has been my life. I've been around it. I love our student athletes. I love our coaches and our programs and everything about it. I really look at it as a family. And so the fact that we're shutting down things, at least in the short term, is just personally devastating. And I know it's hard and it's bitter for the student athletes and the coaches and all involved. But I hope we can all take comfort in the fact that we're trying to do the best we can, based on the information available and with the best interests of the participants in mind.
Well, thank you for joining us. You've always been upright with us and letting us know exactly what's going on, and it's nothing different right now, and we appreciate it very much.
It's good to be with you this evening, Les.
Okay, great to talk to you. Dr. Jon Steinbrecher, who is the Commissioner of the Mid-American Conference. Andy Baskin will join us. He's the Commissioner of 10 to 2 on 92.3 The Fan, and he'll join us. We'll have Mike Masetta a little bit later. Did you know that the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in the last 6 months? Well, they've done it. People are winning the numbers, and winning is easy here at the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/moresports and Les Levine, with new questions posted each and every day. Check us out, More Sports and Les Levine on Facebook, exclusively right here, where you're watching us, powered by cleveland.com. Andy Baskin is next.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We'll get them. Welcome back. More sports and less Levine. That's what we. Are you there, Brian? That's what we call the God mic, but God must be taking a break right now. So we'll bring in Andy. In for God is Andy Baskin. Hi, Andy. There you are. I think. There you are.
It's good to be here. It's good to take care of whatever you people need. I've got you.
us people. Well, you don't get better than, in a moment like this, you don't get better than Dr. Jon Steinbrecher, and he's got the answers because he's the man.
Yeah, Les, I think he had to make an unbelievably difficult decision, but I think he made the right decision for the Mid-American Conference. I still want to see how these Power 5 conferences shake out, but when it comes to Steinbrecher, I love the fact that they didn't close the door on spring football right away. And for me, I thought when I first heard the news on, Friday or Saturday, that they were going to do this, that it might be the right thing to do, because they're citing health concerns, which is the right thing to do, but it also breaks away. They don't have to be a Power 5 conference. They're not reliant on the bowls the same way those Power 5 conferences are. So I thought for the Mid-American Conference, those non-conference games they have at the beginning of the season are gigantic financially, and so they put themselves in a position to. Look, if nobody plays and the Mid-American Conference plays in the spring, you're going to tell me they're not going to be on TV? You think they're not going to get their players exposure like they've never had before? I thought it was a great move.
The only problem with that is they'll get the publicity on a Thursday night in, August. I don't know if that's ideal, but if it's the best you can do, it's the best you can do. I just think
but if they're playing, if they're playing in, if they're playing in March or April, what else are we watching?
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to Brian. I think they've come up with a fix. Brian, are you there?
I am here.
That's Brian, everybody.
All right, Les and Andy. We have a report from Bleacher Report today where it detailed everyone's biggest liability in the NFL. For the Browns, they're talking about coaching. They said perhaps new head coach Kevin Stefanski is the guy to turn things around, finally get the most out of young quarterback Baker Mayfield, and push Cleveland into contention. The fact remains, though, that Mayfield is now on his 4th head coach in 3 seasons. This is a new and relatively inexperienced staff working through a bizarre offseason and with no preseason with which to prepare. If the Browns get off to a slow start, it could be due to the team's lack of experience, and the season could spiral out of control as a result.
All right, first of all, Andy, this is Brian's debut performance, and we need to give him should we give him a grade or wait a couple of weeks to do that?
Oh, no, he's an excellent reader. I would give him an A right out of the gate.
He did a terrific job. Well, of course, seasoned by Andy Baskin and whatever else. All right, so here we're in a situation where a couple of weeks ago, people are asking, well, what do you talk about if you're doing a sports show and nothing's happening? Next thing you know, everything is happening. So this is an area we've never seen before, where you've got big-time college, you got mid-sized college. So here's what people talk to me about. They say they assume everything is about money, and in many cases it is. But this is a little bit more than just money, because you're talking about the health of an awful lot of people and lives and jobs and all that. It's a little bit more than just money.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that the big thing, and ESPN was talking a lot about it today, was what is the Pac-12's medical consultants going to say about what's going on out west? Because it seems to be that there's a fear that because of Pac-12 and COVID-19, that there are some heart issues that are related to what's going on. And if that's the case, and that's what we hear from the Pac-12, and now you're starting to talk about byproducts of what's going on with COVID-19, now you've got some serious, for lack of a better word, negligence situations that you're putting universities in.
Yep.
If they know it does damage to the heart after the fact, and now you're putting athletes out there and asking them to participate at the highest possible level, are you going to be negligent somewhere down the road if somebody gets sick? I mean, let's be honest. You can talk all you want about the money. The lawyers will have the final say in everything when it comes to college athletics.
All right, let's go back to the Bleacher Report and their biggest liability for the Browns. I would have thought the linebacking core. What about you?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I think that's the spot where, I mean, you got 3 spots up for grabs, really. And if you're the Browns, you've got to figure that thing out first. If you want to take it away from the actual players, it's the education and the implement of the system. I think that's the other part that you should be concerned about. I think Bleacher Report is right, but I think Stefanski's offense is manageable in a first-year situation where you're not having preseason games, and I think it's going to be okay. I worry more about the linebackers than I do about Kevin Stefanski being able to implement what he wants to do.
All right, the Browns have added 2 offensive guards for depth. Michael Dunn is one. He's a 6'5" guard and 315 pounds, 25 years old, and drafted as a free agent by the Rams in 2017. Played some time on the Rams and the Jaguars practice squad. Last played for the Seattle Dragons of the XFL in 2020. Then there's Jovan Fair. He is a guard. He's 6'2", 310, a 24-year-old rookie out of Temple, and originally signed as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs. Started 25 of his 45 games at Temple. Then, of course, you have the Browns guards who were left over, Joel Bitonio, along with Chris Hubbard and Michael Dunn. You also have Wyatt Teller and Willie Wright and Jovan Fair, as we mentioned before. Opting out some guards, you got Drew Forbes, Colby Gossett, and Malcolm Pridgeon all opting out. Are you going to miss any of those guys, Andy?
It's a good question. I think if you want to look at this from a positive aspect, I think Wyatt Teller is the big winner in this thing, because Teller now finds himself penciled in or pretty close to being, used, inked in, I guess is probably the right word to use, as that starting right guard. So
in fact,
Wyatt Teller is definitely the winner here.
A lot of people, when he came from Buffalo, they thought he was going to be plugged in that position anyway, or earlier.
Yeah, I think the depth there, having Teller is going to be, we'll see. You're going to have to watch that spot all season long. Because I just don't know how he's going to fit in with Treader, but he'll be in between Treader and Jack Conklin. So, he's in a great spot. Whoever is there is going to be in a good spot. They're just going to get exposed a little bit more in the beginning of the season. So, Teller definitely has the opportunity now.
Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations, plus the great website you want to check out before you do anything. It is, there you see it, the 3 locations, West 140th Street, and that, of course, Lakeland Boulevard, and the new one that's to the south. But before you go there, go to the website at northeastfactorydirect.com. Andy Baskin and I return in a moment, and we'll come back. We are brought to you. We are brought to you here on 90. On what's that, Brian? Brian's taking over here.
Powered by.
Yeah, I know. We're powered by. We're powered by a lot of people, including cleveland.com. Back in a moment.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
All right, Les Levine, Andy Baskin, welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. And Les and Andy, we have the top receivers by Pro Football Focus. They ranked Odell Beckham Jr. 8th on that list. Julio Jones starts at the list, followed by Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and you see Odell Beckham down at 8. Pro Football Focus, they evaluated Odell Beckham. They said Beckham's first season in Cleveland was completely underwhelming. The entire offense was out of sync, including the connection between Baker Mayfield and Beckham. New head coach Kevin Stefanski should help get Beckham closer to his elite form and improve the communication between him and Mayfield.
Well, you're showing Beckham as 8th. Andy, I'd be surprised if he's anything higher than 5th at the end of this year. I think there's a lot of things working in his favor to be improved.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I don't think if you're Pro Football Focus, you got to take into consideration that he was hurt and that it was a new situation for him. So I think that both of those things need to be embraced when you start talking about Odell Beckham Jr. I don't think that gives Jarvis Landry enough credit, though. I think Jarvis Landry is also, a top 8 wide receiver in the NFL. Right. And if you don't believe that, then you need to watch Jarvis Landry play.
Well, the big question involves how it got together last year, and Beckham certainly didn't make himself happy with some other people, or people weren't happy with him the way he didn't report on time. And it's interesting, Andy, that he didn't do anything bad. He just did things that kind of ticked people off.
Well, there was a rhythm aspect, and I think that was right for what Pro Football Focus said. I don't disagree with that, but I also think that you've got to take into consideration he can't control the play unless the ball is coming to him. So it all goes back to Baker Mayfield for me. I mean, Baker's got to get him the ball, right? That's all there is to it. I can't. You can say anything you want about a wide receiver, but he does not control the play. The quarterback controls every play on offense. So I have trouble getting mad at guys that are underperforming. If they're having drops, then I'm upset. But if they're underperforming because you're still trying to build a relationship with your quarterback, that's to be expected.
Okay, you have a new coach in Stefanski. You have a new offense. Basically, you should have more activity in the run game. Is it possible for Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham to form better chemistry under these circumstances?
Yes, I think the options are going to be there. The only way it's not, unless they have 2-3 play drives every time for a touchdown, I think the opportunity is going to be there for Beckham. I think we have the 2 best running backs in the NFL, best tandem of running backs in the NFL. And Andy Janovich is going to open some things up too at fullback. I'll be the only guy in town that's going to be excited about having a fullback this year. But, they've got to create opportunity for Beckham. It is in Stefanski's hands to try to figure out plays that are going to run for him. And let's face it, he's got to get open. If he gets open, I got to think in Mayfield's mind, if you're the quarterback and you're going to throw and Beckham is your number 1 or number 2 targets on the play, if I'm Baker Mayfield, I know I want to throw to Odell Beckham Jr. So I don't think that the workload for Odell Beckham is going to get smaller because they've got more options. Hopefully, if he makes more catches, we all, or everybody else on the offense, has more opportunity.
Andy Baskin, who is Baskin of Baskin and Phelps on 92.3 The Fan. Now you hear him from 10 until 2. I'm just wondering, if I told you right now, and we're 2 months ahead of the season or whatever it is, if I told you that this team is going to be successful offensively, and I tell you that they've got 2 of the better receivers, they got 2 of the better running backs, and you've got hopefully a quarterback who's going to improve. For me to say, Andy, the Browns had a good season and they had it because, why?
They had it because Baker Mayfield showed the maturity, the learning, and had a connection, excuse me, with Kevin Stefanski. That's why. That's why the whole thing, it's all predicated on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has to execute. Now, I'll tell you what's been impressive for me about Mayfield, looking at his workout videos. He has clearly committed himself to wanting to play the game, to being in the best shape, and not walking into this league thinking, because of my first year was so great, my second year is going to be even better just on merit. It doesn't work that way. So Mayfield knows he's got a long way to go to get back to where he was that first season, but I truly believe he can do it. It's just between his ears. He's got to figure it out.
Well, I think you make a great point. In fact, if he had a good year, a real good year in year one and got a little better in year two, that would make it even tougher to do well in year three. So I think this is set up to be good for him.
I do too. I absolutely believe that. Look, it's not easy in the NFL. We all know it. No one's handing you anything. And the conditions are going to be a little bit different this year too. For a guy that I think he thrives on the crowd. Obviously, we've seen the things that he does and his actions on the field. He's going to have to press even harder if there's no one in the stand.
Andy Baskin with us, 92.3 The Fan. Andy, I know, is involved in a lot of charity work. I'm trying to do the same with my charity, which is Pals in Motion. It helps the lives of those with Parkinson's disease. And I just can't thank enough of you for doing what you're doing and sending in donations. Well, I don't care if it's $1, $5, $10. I love to see you active, and a lot of it is because of the show, and we appreciate it very much. Go to events.beinmotion.org. That's events.beinmotion.org. Name of the team for my walking team, the virtual walk, is Moving More with Less. Moving More with Less. The walk will be Sunday, September 13th. That's the day of the Ravens-Browns game, but it's not affected. The times are not even close, so you'll be able to take part in that. We'd love to see you there. It's Sunday, September 13th, and we'll see you there. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Tri-C is the place to go. They've been with us a long time. You can restore your confidence, explore your confidence with and put you on the right path for the future. Tri-C with more than 100 courses, and they'll help you with 40 career technical programs. Go to tri.c.edu for more information. Andy and I return in a moment. Mike Massetta will join us. More sports and less Levine. It's right here on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's check out this date in sports history. Stan the Man. That's I wonder where Bill from West Side is. Where's he been? We haven't heard from him in a long time. There you see more sports and less Levine history, sponsored by our friends at smiley1.com. I had some work done by them. They were terrific. We appreciate it very much. Let's say hello to Mike Macetta, who's standing by. Michael, are you there? Oh, let me check the birthday.
Here.
Hold on, I got birthdays to go to. The Rock, Rocky Calavito. Don't knock the Rock. Mike Dupp was born on this date. Then you have more, as you see right there, and the list goes on and on. Birthdays for today, which is the 10th. How is it the 10th of? How can that be? Andy, help me out here. How can it be that long into the year already? We haven't done anything.
Yeah, because we haven't moved. I've been sitting in this basement since March. Seriously.
Well,
I'm like, what am I gonna do? I need Mike Macetta is what I need. I need Nature Stone.
Well, let's see if we can find Mike Macetta. Mike, are you there by any chance?
I'm here, Les. I'm here. How you doing, Andy?
Good. How are you, Mike?
All right.
Good.
Other than what's Mike thinking, that of course would be Nature Stone. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Yeah, if Andy had Nature Stone in his basement, which I say this every week, I'm more than happy to do that for him. He'd be loving being in his basement since March because he'd have the Nature Stone.
There you go. All right, you guys are quite similar because you have kids about the same age. So tell me what's going on in both of your homes, kids-wise, as far as sports are concerned, and what do you plan to do in the future? Start with Mike.
Well, the baseball season finished up, and I thought that they did a really nice job with it. You know, all the social distancing and mask wearing where necessary was all implemented, and I think that the parents and everything did real well with all that. Football season's starting up, and soccer season is starting up for my kids, and it's rather interesting because there's really no clear program in place for it. So right now, my son is actually at football practice, and they are doing basically just conditioning 6 feet away from each other. They're not allowed to be within 6 feet of each other for at least the first week or so, week to 2 weeks, before they can even get into the practices. And my daughter is doing something very similar, and there is no schedule for games. So we don't really know what's going on with it. For me, I'm okay because I like the conditioning. You know, he's out there playing and running around with other kids, so that's a good thing. But
yeah, what sport are you talking about, Mike?
That's football for my son, and then soccer for my daughter, and they're very similar in how they're approaching it. And there's just no clear direction on. They don't have the fields secured yet. With the high schools not knowing what's going on with them, the various locations where they would be playing at are not secured, and then of course the game schedule is not secured yet because they really don't know what's going on. So it's kind of a wait and see type thing.
Okay, Andy, what have you've got hockey and what else?
Well, we had baseball this originally, you know, tropical storm that I call my son because most people know that I'm a hurricane. He's a tropical storm. Initially we were all set to play lacrosse, and lacrosse got canceled, and I had visions of him sitting around all summer doing nothing. Luckily, he ended up on a travel baseball team, and he hadn't played baseball in a couple of years. So that was unbelievably successful. I thought the fans were great. I thought, you know, there was social distancing. That was a good way to get outside. I never saw anybody sitting, talking to each other kind of like this. Everyone sits forward with a game in front of them. And that's the same for my daughter, who plays fast pitch softball as well, or our daughter, I should say, who plays fast pitch softball as well. Their season still has another, 2 weeks this month, next month as well, right up until the high school season starts, or until high school starts. So that's been interesting. USA Hockey now gets underway. With hockey, we've had tryouts. There have been tryouts across the city. Many rinks are going to have their tryouts over the next couple of weeks. As far as club hockey is concerned, And so I envision that going forward because hockey is such a unique sport with traveling. That's going to be an interesting play as far as peewees and squirts and mites and, U14 or U16, the way you want to look at that. So, I mean, we're full steam ahead. And both of our kids play hockey. So it'll be really interesting to see what progresses forward as far as hockey.
All right. In talking to both of you over a course of time, I would have thought that if there was any trouble, it would have been the parents, not the kids. But you're telling me no problem at all.
No, there were no issues that I was aware of with parents. And like Andy, both of my kids played softball. My daughter and my son played hardball, and he traveled. He went to Branson, Missouri for a tournament this year, and everywhere we went, there was no cases of it, and everybody did what they were supposed to do. And yes, all eyes were on the game, and I think not having the Indians playing was played a role in that, because the parents were just so happy to be out there watching baseball,
right.
and they really got into just kind of taking a step back and enjoying watching their kids play.
Yeah. As long as they're on the subject, let's talk baseball. The Indians come up with a win they probably didn't deserve, but that's what baseball is all about. What are you guys thinking? The setup of the league and what's really messing things up, I would guess, would be the guys, Plesac and guys like that. Some of the teams that are involved, that seems to be a problem. But the way it's set up, do you like the Indians' chances here as the season moving pretty quickly? Andy, let's start with you.
Well, so I think that the St. Louis situation is unbelievably unusual. Obviously, we don't know where we're going with this thing. They've only played 5 games this year. How are they going to get those games in? I think that's one of the biggest questions that's burning in front of me is how are they going to do this?
They got to have a big coin that they can flip.
Well, that's not a bad idea. They can do that. We put your face on one side, we'll put Mike's on the other, and we'll make the coin out of nature stone.
Absolutely.
That'd be a heavy coin.
So, but I just think that, I'm really interested to see what the commissioner does about that fight yesterday. Because there were guys that left the stands to get in that fight. And that shouldn't be. They're talking, if Plesac's going to be out for, 2 weeks because the Indians want him out,
right,
because he broke the rules. What's Major League Baseball going to do about that fight yesterday? That's what I want to see. Everybody that jumped on the field that knows they shouldn't be on the field, I don't know how you can't give them a 10-game suspension.
As long as it involves the Houston Astros, they're clean of everything.
Oh, that's true, yeah, of everything. So
let me ask a question to both of you guys. This has been bothering me for years. I love, for anybody who's known me, I love baseball. It's one of the great loves of my life. Last night, if you wanted to have the 2 worst, I had it in my commentary tonight, if you wanted to have the 2 worst commentators on a Major League Baseball game and you want to promote baseball, to me it would be A-Rod and Pete Rose. Any objections, Your Honor? No objections. So
A-Rod. The shocking thing about A-Rod is he talks about playing small ball the entire time. He never played small ball in his entire life. So not only yes, and Pete Rose, all he does is talk about Pete Rose.
Not only did he say something about small ball, how much he loves it. He roided himself to keep himself out of the Hall of Fame, and it wasn't small ball he was trying to protect. So help me out on that, Mike. I think you're with me on that. Andy, how about you?
A-Rod was one of many guys, I think, that put themselves in that position.
Oh, I forgot Andy met A-Rod. I forgot.
Yeah, so I don't know. As a person, meeting him, and I was at a game with him at Notre Dame. I saw Notre Dame, Michigan with him. He couldn't have been any nicer to everybody.
I don't want to hear that.
It's hard, Les. Look, do I hate what he did with the game? Yeah, it bothers me. And then the other thing, you bring up the other guy, Pete Rose. I mean, when I was a kid, Les, the Indians sucked, and I loved Pete Rose.
I know, I did too. It's just not right.
I loved the way he played. I loved how he hustled everywhere. I mean, I wish every kid would learn from how to play a game from Pete Rose, just not out of bed on a game.
I loved how he took me to dinner at his house the night before the All-Star game and then threw an elbow into my jaw. I loved every minute of that.
I will say this. I loved. I didn't get to watch him play, but Ted Williams was a phenomenal baseball player who was an awful coach. So I would never want Ted Williams coaching my team. I loved watching Pete Rose play. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's one of the greatest players of all time. I do not want him announcing a game that I'm watching, though.
That's true, too.
All right. Mike, anything you'd like to add to the proceedings here tonight?
I will say one thing about A-Rod. He talked about the college season and how the college season is only about 60 games. Then they go into the tournament. You start with the regional and then so on and so forth. And he used that analogy to what was going on this season. And I thought, that's actually kind of interesting. I enjoy college baseball. I don't know if I'm one of the few, but I really enjoy that time, and I enjoy watching them get to Omaha and that whole thing. So that's kind of how I envision this professional season. 60 games. It's a rush to see who gets there, and then you've got 16 games in the playoffs, and it's almost like regional, super regional, and then your final 8 or your final 4 or wherever it comes down to.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Wow, it's Nature Stone. We appreciate you hanging out with us. It's interesting each and every week. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, as always. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There you go. All right, Mike Macetta from Nature Stone, one of the great companies in northeastern Ohio. East, west, and south, that's where you're going to find locations of Northeast Factory Direct. Check them out. West 140th Street, also Lakeland Boulevard, as well as Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. We're coming back in a moment with Andy Baskin. More Sports and Les Levine continues right here on cleveland.com.
Never replace your basement flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine. Andy Baskin is with us. Thanks to Mike Macetta, who joined us earlier, and Dr. Jon Steinbrecher of the Mid-American Conference. Let's check out history. More Sports and Les Levine. Quickie, rather. Nothing? Oh, Facebook. Okay, that's we got Facebook question of the day. And Andy, jump in anytime on these, okay?
All right.
All right. After seeing it in play, are you for or against the runner on second base in the extra inning rule? Start with Andy Baskin.
I am, but not in the current way that they're doing it. I think they should start in the 12th inning. I think that they should do a 10th inning normal, an 11th inning normal, and then if they get to the 12th inning, I think that's the point where you add the runner at second base, much like in college football.
Yeah, seems like no reason that it's going to ever slow the game down or speed the game up, rather. Doesn't seem like it.
Well,
but A-Rod loves it.
Who cares if A-Rod loves it? I don't think it's such a horrible idea. It's not.
All right.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
All right. This from Tim Gebhardt. It's okay for this year in the 7th inning, doubleheader, but scrap it for next year. Keep the universal DH, however. Absolutely. Michael Burke says I'm against it. Any improvements setting up a T-ball? No, it's about what it is. they certainly should be if it's for that commissioner. Josh Woodward, the MLB would sooner mess with the rules of the game than actually punish those Astros who break those rules. I don't see why the game's getting faster does anything for the game itself. You know, I was thinking about this the other night, Andy. Let me finish up with two quick ones. Glenn Berger. I'm concerned that the commissioner will be introducing more gimmicks to the grand old game of baseball. If he doesn't want a game to go 18 innings, play 12 and then call it a game. Nah, I don't like that. That's Little League stuff. Lee Sutley says it's irrelevant. If it happened, get them over, get them in and score the winning run. What I was thinking about this was the fact that you've got the game and you've got totally new statistics. You know, if you're trying to get a 20-year-old to the game, you're trying to get a 40-year-old to the game, 50-year-old, putting all these new stats into the game, and I won't even bother naming them, but they're, for baseball fans, they couldn't care less about them and don't understand them anyway. Are they really expecting to get more people into the stands by putting up new initials for statistics? Is that what this is all about?
I don't know. I just think hardcore baseball fans just love it. They enjoy it. I mean, the one place where I think it really stands out is we sit here and we talk about, like, I think the dumbest stat of all time is wins and losses for a pitcher, just because they only control half the game. So that to me has always been a stat that's bothered.
What do you mean that wins and losses are still a part of the game, even though it doesn't seem to be a big thing for a pitcher to have?
The stat, yeah, it's a big thing, but I mean, he can't control part of the outcome. If the team doesn't score while he's out on the mound,
yeah, seventh inning, it's over.
That's why I just don't. It bothers me that the wins and losses for pitchers have always been like the most unusual stat. I'm kind of tired of people complaining about all the rule changes. Look, if they didn't change the rules of baseball every once in a while, would the game still be the same? Would the mound height still be the same as it was?
Yeah,
would we be playing best of 9 series? Would guys be leaving their gloves still out on the field?
Yeah, I like that one.
I mean, they just changed. That's all.
What do you got behind you? Is that an Ohio State?
That is here.
Nice.
And then a couple autographed bats over here somewhere.
From who?
One was for my wife, who worked for the Indians for a long time, and then the other is a bat from when my daughter was born. Our daughter was born.
Excellent.
So
all right, we're going to take a break.
And then a Casey Blake bat just for you, Les.
I like it.
I have a bat from Casey Blake.
That man made $49 million in a big league uniform. Let me repeat that. Casey Blake made $49 million in a uniform. How is that possible?
Because he wasn't a horrible baseball player. He was
so he gets 49 mil. I like it. I like the concept.
It's not my fault.
Well, you did call your attention to it. The Casey Blake Casey Blake fan club asked me not to stop it already.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Wickman's Warriors is going to be calling you, and you're going to have all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, we're coming back one more time with Andy Baskin. Come up with something good for the next 6 or 7 minutes. More sports and less Levine on cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw will join us. You see us live from 6 until 7, replayed at your discretion, and you can archive it all night. Wednesday, Dennis Maniloff, and Thursday, Mary Kay Cabot is here. Andy Baskin with us tonight. Mike Macedo was here before, so was Dr. Jon Steinbrecher. How many times do people, do you think, call him Steinbrenner? All the time?
It's funny. I guess probably when I first met him, I probably went through my mind. I haven't really thought about that. It's Steinbrecher.
Yeah, you have to keep your mind off it, or you'll give it away. All right, this is the portion of the show, Andy, where people send in quickies, and then you get to grade them anywhere from 1 till 10 is the grading situation here. Big Ed.
Yeah, I'm using my professor face. Yes.
Yeah, this is not pass fail. All right, okay. We've got one from Big Ed. How come if Van Gogh was an artist because he didn't have an ear for music? How come Van Gogh was an artist because he didn't have an ear for music? What do you think? I think
6.
you like it a little bit.
6. I mean, the content is there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bud Shaw theory. First of all, you have to be reminded that they're quickies, sir. And if it goes past the quickie length, they don't get graded. How about this
6.
from Mr. Gullible? How come if I don't swear when you drive, you're not paying enough attention to the road? Now, Andy thinks I'm the slowest driver in the world, so I don't think this is fair for him to comment.
Yes, I abstain.
You abstain from voting?
I abstain. I am Al Davis. I abstain.
Okay, so Mr. Gullible comes up with the second one. How come if I ever go missing, they should put a picture of beer bottles rather than milk so my friends will find me faster?
I like that. That's an 8.
An 8? An 8. Pretty high ranking.
An 8 for me. I don't get many of those. Yes.
All right, we got about 2 minutes to go here. Big news in the college sports scene. Obviously, football is one we're talking about. What do you see being resolved here?
I see the NFL moving to Friday night, Saturdays. That's what I see.
Thursday morning.
I see the NFL jumping on the opportunity. Unless we dissolve conferences, which could be coming too. I think that's a real possibility.
And what, have every game independent?
It's possible. I mean, if you listen to Harbaugh to Michigan today and some of the things over the last hour or two about Ohio State still practiced today. I think they're going to play until someone tells them they can't play, whether that means they're in the Big Ten or not. And you can't tell me there isn't a TV network that isn't going to pick them up, whether they're with their Big Ten affiliation or whatever. They're still going to make money. They're still going. If they want to play, there's going to be an appetite for it.
All right, help me out on this one. Moving Michigan to Ohio State before Thanksgiving, there's got to be a money reason, and I don't see what it is. Unless they want to make sure they can get the game in somehow, some way.
I mean, my theory was they should have played the game the first week of the season. I think history should record Ohio State and Michigan played every year. It's very hard for me to sit here and digest today the thought of Ohio State and Michigan not playing football this year.
And that's where we pounding.
That's where we stand if the media reports are right.
All right, well, the big announcement coming today. We'll see what happens. Indians are off today, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have Bud Shaw with us. Andy, great job as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Les.
Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan, from 10 until 2. No, that's not right, is it? 10 until,
no, that's 100%.
I haven't been there in so long I forgot when you're on.
We're on 24 hours a day, radio.com.
There you go. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.